Welcome to the D-Dam Mix channel. We invite you to watch our new story. To stay up to date with new stories, subscribe to our channel. When the lawyer read the will, I thought maybe I'd misheard. His voice was flat, like he'd read the same lines 1,000 times before. My cousin gets the house. I nodded faintly, waiting for my turn. My brother gets the car. Fine. I never cared for the car anyway. Even Aunt Ruth, the lawyer went on, receives the fishing gear. There was a pause. I looked around at the faces in the room, some smiling, some pretending not to. And me? I asked. The lawyer glanced at a paper, then at me, then back at the paper. Olivia, he said, without even a flicker of emotion, your father left you, his old VCR. The words sank in slow, like stones in water. I sat frozen while the others whispered to each other, glancing in my direction. My father had been my world. I was there every day when he couldn't walk to the mailbox anymore. I made his tea just the way he liked it. I read him the paper when his eyes got too tired. I held his hand when the nights were long. And this? This was what I got. Back home, I carried the VCR in like it weighed 100 pounds. I set it on my kitchen table. The plastic was scratched, the buttons stiff and slightly sticky. Dust clung to the edges. I ran my fingers over the top. My first thought was to throw it away. Instead, I pressed the eject button. A software started up, the old machine working like it had been waiting for this. Then, a tape slid out. No label. Just a black, glossy surface. I dug out my old TV with the built-in VHS player and slid the tape in. The screen flickered, shaky at first. And then, his face. Liv, my father said, his voice rough and a little breathless, if you're watching this, I'm gone. I leaned closer, my elbows pressing into the table. My hands curled tight. They took everything from me, he said. Changed my will. Got a lawyer to push papers I didn't want to sign. I don't know who started it, but I think it's your uncle. He took the rare coins we collected all those years. He coughed and rubbed his eyes. The proof, the list of every coin, with seller names and numbers, is in the bank safe. It's yours. Use it. The screen went black. I sat there, the silence in my kitchen so loud it hurt. His words burned through me, settling deep, heavy as the VCR itself. And I knew one thing, I wasn't letting this go. I drove to my father's house the next morning, the road feeling longer than it ever had. The place looked the same from the outside, white siding, the porch swing creaking in the wind, but it didn't belong to him anymore. Legally, it was my uncle's now. He answered the door wearing a wrinkled shirt, his hair sticking up like he'd slept in it. His eyes narrowed the moment he saw me. Olivia. What brings you here? I forced a smile. I left some things upstairs. Mind if I get them? He studied me for a moment, then stepped aside. Go ahead. I slipped past him, feeling his gaze follow me. My steps on the stairs sounded too loud. The air inside was heavy, smelling faintly of stale coffee and old carpet. In the study, the safe was exactly where it had always been, tucked into the closet behind coats that hadn't been worn in years. My hands shook a little as I knelt in front of it. I spun the dial, listening for the clicks I'd memorized years ago when Dad had taught me, just in case. The door opened with a dull metallic sound. Empty. The hollow space inside made my stomach turn. The creak of the closet door behind me made me jump. What are you doing? My uncle's voice was sharp, like a door slamming. I turned slowly. I was looking for something my father left me. A list of the coins. His face went pale, the lines around his mouth deepening. So you've seen the tape too? I frowned. Too? They're gone, he said, stepping closer. The coins. The list. Someone beat us to it. My stomach sank. If it wasn't you. It wasn't, he cut in, his jaw tightening. And now we've got a problem. I believed him, though I hated myself for it. For a long moment, we just stood there in the dusty closet, the air between us thick with old grudges and something new, shared loss. And somehow, right there, we made a pact. We sat at his kitchen table that night, the clock ticking loud in the silence. The coffee between us had gone cold, untouched. My uncle kept drumming his fingers on the wood, like he was trying to beat out a thought that wouldn't come. Whoever took them will try to sell, I said finally, breaking the quiet. He nodded slowly. And these coins aren't common. They'll have to find a collector who knows exactly what they're worth. I leaned forward. Then we make ourselves that collector. He raised an eyebrow. You're thinking a trap. A very polite one, I said. That night, we drafted the ad together. Wealthy collectors seek specific rare coins. Serious offers only. We listed the exact years and mints, slipping them in like they were just examples. We made it sound casual, harmless. But we both knew anyone with the stolen coins would notice. The next few days were slow. Too slow. Every time the phone rang, we both jumped. Most calls were junk, someone selling baseball cards, an old coin from their drawer. None of them were ours. Then, on the third day, the phone rang again. My uncle put it on speaker. "Hello," he said, his voice steady. "I saw your ad," a woman's voice said. "I have what you're looking for." The sound of her voice hit me like a cold splash. I knew it instantly. My uncle's eyes went wide. "Martha," he said, almost choking on the word. His own wife. She didn't miss a beat. "Let's meet. Tomorrow. The cafe on Main. Bring cash." When the call ended, my uncle dropped his head into his hands. "It was under my roof the whole time," he muttered. I stared at him, unsure whether to comfort him or remind him that, not so long ago, he'd suspected me of the same thing. In the end, I just said, "We're going to get them back." And this time, he didn't argue. The cafe smelled of cinnamon rolls that had sat too long in the case and espresso that had been pulled one shot too many. A low hum of conversation filled the air, clinking cups and the occasional hiss of the milk steamer cutting through it. Carl, my father's oldest friend, sat in a booth by the window. He wore a brown jacket with worn elbows, the kind he'd owned for years, and kept a battered suitcase at his feet. Inside, I knew, there was nothing but paper and a few stacks of fake bills wrapped with rubber bands to look convincing. I was already in disguise, short dark wig, a black waitress uniform borrowed from a friend, and a notepad tucked in my apron. I'd practiced my fake cheerful smile in the mirror until it felt natural enough. The door chimed. Martha walked in, 10 minutes late, scanning the room before her eyes landed on Carl. She carried a small leather case in one hand, her lips pressed tight. Without a word, she slid into the booth across from him. "You have them?" Carl asked, his voice calm but carrying that edge of excitement only a collector, or a man pretending to be one, could pull off. Martha pushed the case across the table. Carl opened it, letting out a low whistle. "Beautiful," he said, his fingers brushing over the coins. "Do you have the money?" she asked, her tone clipped. That was my cue. I walked over with a tray balanced on one hand, pretending to take Carl's order. He opened the suitcase to check the cash. That's when I let my foot catch the leg of the table and stumbled just enough to send coffee sloshing over his sleeve. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," I gasped, grabbing a towel from my tray. I leaned in, blotting at his jacket, my body blocking Martha's view. Under the table, my other hand worked quickly. I slid the real coin case into the tray's hidden compartment and replaced it with the replica we'd prepared earlier. The weight was identical. Carl snapped the suitcase shut and gave Martha a smile. "Pleasure doing business." She smiled back, tucking the fake case under her arm. She had no idea she was walking out with flawless counterfeits, while the real treasure sat inches from my hand. Outside, Carl handed me the real coins, still cool from the cafe's air. My uncle joined us, his face pale but determined. "She'll figure it out," he said. "By then," I told him, "we'll have these in the bank." We drove in silence. The coins gleamed under the passing streetlights, each one a piece of my father's life. At the bank, I placed them in a safe under my name. My uncle signed the papers without protest. As we walked out, he said, "Your father was a good man. I wish I'd been better to him." I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to forgive. That night, I sat at my kitchen table again, the VCR still in front of me. I rewound the tape, listening to my father's voice. "Liv," he said, "if you're watching this, remember, things aren't always what they seem." I pressed pause. The screen froze on his smile. And for the first time since the reading of the will, I felt like I'd been given more than an old machine. I'd been given the truth. Write in the comments what you think about this story and subscribe to our channel D-Damn Mix.